When it comes to motivation questions, the first challenge is to convince the firm that you want to work within their industry, in the role you're applying for. In other words, you need to demonstrate your career motivation. To give context, I'll start by quickly going through some of the more common examples of career motivation questions. So firstly, what influenced your decision to pursue this particular career? And there are loads of variations on that question. Now, this is the question that most commonly comes up, so I'll be covering it in detail. Another example is, which other professions have you considered and why did you not want to pursue them instead? Now, this type of question is designed to test whether you've properly explored your options, which will be seen as a sensible approach when it comes to potentially defining the rest of your working life. Now, it's absolutely fine to mention alternative careers, so aspiring commercial lawyers could mention that they've considered a career as a barrister, for example, as long as you're able to explain why you have a preference for the role that you're currently applying to. Now, I had tried to get various bar-related experience and I'd done mooting. So when I was asked this question, I did talk about the bar and I distinguished the barrister role from the role of a commercial lawyer by saying commercial lawyers tend to work more in teams. Commercial lawyers can advise on all different stages of a business's life cycle, whereas barristers tend to get involved only when things go wrong. Commercial lawyers have the opportunity to try out transactional work, whereas barristers only tend to do contentious work. And I drew those types of parallels to show I'd really thought about the differences and what was most interesting for me. Another example is, what is your understanding for the role for which you're applying? Now, this isn't a question that people necessarily give much thought to. However, how can you credibly claim you want to carry out a role if you're unable to explain what the role will involve? Make sure you're able to deliver a solid answer to this question, as it's designed to assess whether you have truly done your research and thought about the career, and therefore whether your motivations are credible. The final question here, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? Now, this question, I think at least, is designed to test whether you've thought about the career in the long term. You don't need to say you're 100% sure you'll remain in the career for a decade or more. If anything, that might come across as naive. But stating that you hope you will enjoy the career, excel in your role, find the practice area that best aligns with your interests and still be working in that, and progress up the ranks to a certain position by then, is a fair way of approaching your answer. When drawing out your career motivations, it's important that you distinguish between your career motivation, i.e. what you want to do, and your skills, i.e. what you're good at doing. Many candidates say things like, I want to be a lawyer because my skill set aligns with the career, but the former doesn't necessarily follow on from the latter. For example, I'm good at writing, I'm a confident communicator, and I'm very well organised, which means I would probably make a very good administrative assistant. However, just because I possess those skills doesn't mean that, by default, I would want to carry out that role, and that's what's key for your motivation. In addition, if you're linking previous work experiences to your motivation to become a lawyer, don't focus solely or predominantly on what you did during those work experiences. It's less about what you did and more about what you were exposed to and how you felt about it. The fact that you've carried out some basic legal work might demonstrate your competence, which could be helpful when answering a competency question. However, it doesn't in and of itself convey that you enjoyed the work and would like to continue doing such work throughout your career. Now, by all means, mention previous work experiences and explain how these exposed you to certain aspects of the career, but don't then forget to explain how those aspects have cumulatively contributed to your desire to pursue your chosen career. And be sure to relate each motivating factor back to your personal experiences, ambitions, and interests. I can't stress this enough. It's a key feature that distinguishes distinctive, personal, credible answers from generic and unconvincing answers. So always explain why you care.